Christopher Nolan is making next.
Christopher Nolan is doing a version of The Odyssey.
The Odyssey.
The Odyssey.
And the question becomes,
how do you pull it off? Let's see if he's actually able to pull it off.
I don't know if he can pull it off.
before we even try to answer that, we need to go back.
Now to the other major news we're following this Wednesday night, the coronavirus back at home, the growing concern about the Delta variant first seen in India.
It's July 10, 2021. On the R Movies subreddit, a user by the name of TexasCTPaxa asked a simple question.
Why has there not been a Hollywood or high-level production of The Odyssey?
A question worth sitting with. The post received 179 comments. Some of them said there's just not enough appetite for Greek mythology. It's an extremely weird story. They'd mess it up. I prefer the version in my head. It would never make financial sense. Most people agreed it's either too strange, too dense, or too expensive. So, does that mean the Odyssey can never truly be on screen? Well, not exactly. In case you didn't know, the Odyssey follows Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, who takes 20 years to return home from the Trojan War. Along the way, he faces monsters, gods, temptations, the Cyclops, the Sirens, the witch Circe, the wrath of Poseidon, and back home, his wife Penelope holding on to hope, fending off suitors, trying to take his throne. It's a story of longing, of returning, of remembering who you are. And while the full epic has never been faithfully adapted, fragments of it have been quietly creeping up into cinema. Take the Coen Brothers' movie, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Ulysses, Delmar, and Pete escapes from prison and goes searching for a hidden treasure. Ulysses is just the Latin name for Odysseus. His wife, Penny.
Penny, you stop that.
No, you stop it. Vernon can support him and buy him lessons on the clarinet. The only good thing you ever did for the gals was to get hit by that train.
Short for Penelope. The bonfire becomes the Cyclops.
Come and get us, coppers!
Light her up! Go on, boys! Now, ain't you ever heard of negotiating?
The cow on the roof nods to Helios' sacred cattle, and John Goodman's one-eyed conman.
And it is that which I propose to give you a lesson in right now. That's why I invited y'all out here for this advanced tutorial.
A modern-day Polyphemus. In 2011, we had Keyhole. A gangster wanders his crumbling mansion, searching for his dying, estranged wife. Again, his name, Ulysses. Again, the theme, return. In 2024, Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Binoche starred in The Return. A smaller, quieter adaptation, one that only covers the final chapter when Odysseus comes home and must reclaim what's his. But the most surprisingly faithful adaptation might just be
You! Be back here with my crown in exactly 10 days. He can do it in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 6 it is.
the SpongeBob SquarePants movie. It's true, SpongeBob and Patrick set off on a dangerous journey in the face of a Cyclops.
I love this job!
Thank you, stranger!
Stranger?
They're aided by Princess Mindy, voiced by Scarlett Johansson.
Look at this little guy. He's willing to risk his life to find your crown and save his boss.
Whose name is a nod to Minerva, the Roman Athena. The wrath of Neptune mirrors the wrath of Poseidon. Even the sirens appear in the form of a monstrous fish, luring them with the illusion of ice cream. And yes, they are gifted with the bag of wind.
Take this.
What's in here?
It's a magical bag of winds.
Straight from the Odyssey. But here's the thing, none of these were true, complete adaptations. They were echoes, homages, sideways glances. The actual poem, the full tale, beginning to end, has always been too much, too strange, too sprawling, too mythical. Except for.
Oh my God.
As many have said, the Odyssey is simply too dense for a single film. Each island, each episode could be its own movie, which is why most filmmakers have stayed away, choosing instead to adapt just a fragment or to reimagine it entirely. But now comes Nolan, and he's not just adapting a part of it. He's going for the whole thing in one movie. No sequels, no series. And here's where the madness begins. Because Nolan isn't making things easy for himself either. Most directors, even if they dared to make this movie, would turn to CGI to handle the monsters, the gods, the scale. But Nolan is building everything. Massive sets, outdoor locations, 100-foot puppets for Cyclops. He's going practical, real, tangible, and accompanying this vision, it is a budget of $250 million. And now we also know the cast of the movie. It's a galaxy of stars. Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, John Bernthal, Charlize Theron, Zendaya, Mia Goth, Elliot Page, Lupita Nyong'o, and Benny Safdie. Of course, not all of them will have major roles. Like Rami Malek only had a few lines in Oppenheimer, but the chance to be in a Nolan film is worth more than the screen time. Still, the question lingers. With a story this epic, what does Nolan keep? What does he cut? The Odyssey isn't just episodic, it's recursive. Moments return, symbols repeat. The entire thing is a web. Cut the wrong thread and it all collapses. And the runtime? 2 hours? Impossible. 3? Maybe. 4? Possibly. But will modern audiences sit through it? We live in a world where people skip videos in the first 5 seconds, where attention is currency. And how do you convince them to commit to a myth, to a film full of gods and monsters and yearning? But if anyone can, it's definitely Nolan. Remember Oppenheimer? 3 hours long, mostly dialogue, partially in black and white, nearly $1 billion at the box office. And it won him his first Oscar. The film wasn't just successful, it changed the trajectory of cinema. Studios now believe again in drama, in story, in directors. But let's not forget why Oppenheimer sold the way it did. Barbenheimer, a once-in-a-generation pop culture moment. 2 wildly different films released on the same day. And in this competition, there were 2 winners. It wasn't Christopher Nolan and Greta Gerwig. It wasn't Oppenheimer and Barbie. In fact, it was Christopher Nolan and Barbie. Nolan's name, his brand, grew immensely, and the same thing happened with Barbie as well. Whereas Greta Gerwig never really got the mentions in the pop culture zeitgeist the same way Christopher Nolan did. And now, as Christopher Nolan approaches the Odyssey, that halo effect remains. People will flock to this. They'll want to witness the impossible. But he's not just up against mythology, he's up against himself. Because Nolan's style is unmistakable. Backshots, montages, layered soundscapes, time-bending storytelling. But none of that easily fits into the world of sandals and swords. So, does he change, reinvent himself, or try to fit the Odyssey into his existing mold? And what happens if it doesn't feel like a Nolan film? Will the audiences still stay? Will you? Now let's talk about numbers. Universal isn't Netflix. They don't spend hundreds of millions of dollars on throwaway films like The Electric State. They expect results. Theatrical successes. Giving Nolan $250 million means they expect a return. But this isn't a space epic. It's not a war film. It's the Odyssey, a weird ancient poem. Some say it only needs $625 million to break even, but that's not how the math works. Now, let's say that Nolan's film makes a very respectable $800 million worldwide. And amongst that $800 million, let's assume that 300 of those million dollars came from the domestic market. Another $400 million came from the international market, excluding China. And the last $100 million came from China. Now, the way studio systems work is that in the domestic market, the studios get around 55% of the film's revenue. In the international markets, excluding China, the studios get 40% of the total revenue. And in China, the studios are only able to get 20% of the total revenue. So that means that the studio will be seeing $165 million from the domestic market, $160 million from the international markets, and just $20 million from the Chinese market. So that means that the studio will only actually see about $345 million back in their pockets. Now subtract the $250 million production budget, and we will also have to add another $100 million for prints and advertising costs, the marketing budget. And suddenly the movie is losing $5 million. So that means that in order for the Odyssey to truly be a hit, it will have to score at least $1 billion. So yes, this is a risk, a beautiful, gigantic risk. The question isn't just, can Nolan adapt the Odyssey? It's, can he survive it? Because in the end, this isn't just Odyssey's journey anymore. It's Christopher Nolan's as well. I hope you guys liked the video. And if you guys did, it would really mean a lot to me if you could hit that subscribe button. Also, please make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments as well. What do you think Christopher Nolan's Odyssey will make at the box office? Over $1 billion? Under $1 billion? Whatever you guys think, let me know down in the comments. And I'll see you guys in the next one.